Hey everybody, I'm Bede, aka the Terrible Australian of Super Podcast, and welcome to the second edition of my 2014 Myth video reviews. For this one, I will be chatting about the documentary Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon, and as well as Electric Boogaloo, The Wild Untold Story of Canon Films. Sorry. So, let's get right into it. I got my Myth guide right here, so I don't butcher the synopsises of any of these films. So, first up, the Supermensch. Shep Gordon was a casual drug dealer whose job caused him to collide with the music world in strange ways. He became the legendary manager of Alice Cooper, Pink Floyd, and Blondie, and masterminded some of the music world's most notorious stage antics. He lived the sex, drugs, and rock and roll lives to the extreme, and also invented the celebrity chef concept, earning a reputation as a hedonist who could be sweet and generous beyond compare. Now, I have to admit, I've actually have never heard of Shep Gordon prior to this documentary, and I feel terrible for even saying that. But I have to say, director Mike Myers, yes, the same Mike Myers behind Austin Powers and Wayne's World, this is his directorial debut. I have to say, this is a really, really enjoyable, really fun, and really entertaining documentary on this guy. Like I this Shep Gordon. Shep Gordon lived is just a fantastic subject for a documentary. He lived such an amazing life. Oh, well, he's still alive today. So his the life lived as being is extraordinary, and pretty much the film is basically is mostly sort of anecdotes and stories about sort of various points in his life, when as his work as a manager, his sort of relationships with women, the many celebrities he's met, and as well as it says in the synopsis right there, sort of coming up with some of the most notorious acts that a lot of musicians have done today, like the famous the very infamous Alice Cooper moment where he picked up a chicken, threw it into the crowd, and the crowd just pretty much tore it to shreds and threw the carcass back to him. That was all Shep's idea. Well, but putting the chicken on stage and whatever Alice did afterwards, but and also his sort of relationships with all these people and sort of and this the amazing life that he lived. But also, what's really great about it, it shows sort of how much, because you get interviews with a lot of well-known celebrities. You get Michael Douglas, Sylvester Stallone, Willie Nelson, Alice Cooper, of course, and there's many others who sort of recount all this. Even Tom Arnold as well, sort of recount sort of their experiences with Shep and how Shep has helped them along the way, but both with their careers, but also when they sort of went in troubles in their own lives and all that. And the movie does show how, despite all these crazy things that Shep Gordon did, he was a genuinely kind-hearted soul and a guy who, as they say many times in the movie, his door is always open for anyone to come stay with him, or if someone needs him to help with something. Like, the movie does a really good job. I guess some people might see it as kind of a fluff piece, but I thought it was just really enjoyable. And just listening to all these stories and all the crazy antics that Shep got into during the course of his career was hilarious and also quite amazing as well. Like, he lived, he I wish I had that life. Like, I want to be Shep Gordon now. And also just the fact that he created the whole, like I said in the synopsis, the celebrity chef concept. That was all his idea, because he felt that a lot of the chefs were being treated badly in restaurants and not getting any money at all. So he thought of a way how to sort of get the money. So he created. So when he found out of when the Food Network was starting up, he sort of brought that concept to them, having the chefs on TV teaching people how to cook, and that of course exploded, and as they say, the rest is history. But also it sort of talks about one of the things, how he sort of had been longing to sort of settle down and have a family and all that. And the movie really sort of, when he touches on that aspect, it really is surprisingly heartfelt and even moving as well. And and also how all the his friends and family, how their lives are sort of uh, are richer because of Shep being there. And it's a great documentary. I'm really surprised. Like, it's not perfect. Like I'm not going to say it sort of goes from one story to the other. There's not sort of at sort of different points of Shep's life. So it's not perfect in that way, at least structurally. But other than that, I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend everyone to check it out. So that's and Mike Myers does a really solid job as well, and he's also interviewed uh, in the film as well. So and talks about his experiences with Shep. And yeah, so overall, Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon. If I had to rate this film, I give this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it a lot. Now, onto one, the next film, which is a film I've been waiting to see for about probably close to about 2 to 3 years ever since it was first announced, and that of course is Electric Boogaloo: The Wild Untold Story of Canon Films. So, what's the film about? I'll tell you. When film-obsessed cousins, sorry, Mikhail Golan and Yoram Globus came to America, their dreams was to create a production house that would rival the big Hollywood studios. The result was Canon Films, an outfit that did everything: action, horror, musicals, science fiction, fantasy, thrillers, and even art house dramas. Bold, brash, with a slate of films unlike any other, Canon soon became the stuff of legend both on and off the screen. Now, I think everyone would have seen a film that was produced by Canon in their lives. It's a guarantee. I think everyone at one time or another may have seen a film that was produced by these guys. And just to give you an idea of what films they made the films like The Delta Force, the American Ninja series, Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, Ninja the Free the Domination, Death Wish 2, 3, and 4, Missing in Action, Cyborg, Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, um, Life Force, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Masters of the Universe, and probably their most infamous film, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. So these guys, if you've seen any of those films, you know, who these guys are. And like I said, I've been waiting for this documentary for a few years now. And this film was directed by Mark Hartley, who previously made other documentaries of this type. He made Not Quite Hollywood: The Wild Untold Story of Ozploitation, and Machete Maidens Unleashed, which was a film that sort of explored the exploitation films from the Philippines. And this is his third and final documentary in that exploitation trilogy of films that of documentary films that he's doing, which is sad because I know that he loves making these documentaries, but this is something. But he has always wanted to make more narrative films, and he sort of did that last year with his debut narrative film, the remake of Patrick, which I did see at the festival last year. So this is his third and final documentary, and I have to say, this is a great subject that he picked for it, and it's just I'm not gonna lie, I love this film. It's fantastic. It's everything that I hoped that a documentary about Canon films would be, and it delivers. It's absolutely insightful, very entertaining, and also hilarious, and also getting to hear everyone who was involved during this period. The actors, the crew, directors, writers, everyone who's worked on a lot of the Canon films during the late 70s right up till the very early 90s. Just hearing their stories about and Globus was just fascinating, and especially Golan, who was, as despite he has an absolute love for movies, and you can't deny it, his infectious love for films. He was completely insane, but the film does that in good humor, and it's just the insanity that the studio was, and the fact that they probably released more films a year than any of the major studios. Kind of says something, and I just loved it. It is just fantastic. Like I said, the interviewers bring a lot of great stories, and we get to see many clips from a lot of the films that during that period, and the sort of the stories behind each and every one. And I, I have a big grin on my face right now. I love this film. I don't know if it's going to be released this year or they're going to release it next year because this was where when I saw it at MIFF, this was the world premiere of the film, so I was one of the first few people in the world to see it for the first time. Not bragging about that, but but I hope it gets released sooner rather than later because I can tell you right now, if it's released sometime in the next few months, this is definitely going to be on my top 10 of 2014. I just loved it that much, and I mean, if you, what else can I say? It's just an awesome documentary. In terms of negatives, I don't really have much. The opening was slightly awkward, but other than just in terms of how it set up everything, was slightly awkward, but didn't really bother me too much. And then, of course, there are some films I wish that the doco could have explored more. Like, I wish they kind of explored more about the Australian film Evil Angels, or as it's known in the US as A Cry in the Dark, which was the first film made about the Lindy Chamberlain case. I would have liked to have seen a bit more about that because the fact that they produced that film and it sort of went on to become an Oscar-nominated and critically acclaimed film shows that they were willing to take risks with, um, with sort of quality films as well. I wish that it sort of mentioned a little bit, but I kind of would have liked to have seen a bit more of that, and also, like to have heard a bit more about certain films as well that got mentioned. But I have to say, I was really happy because they did take a few minutes to talk about Ninja Free the Domination, which is one of the most insane films ever made. So I appreciate the film for that, and as well as Life Force, which is probably even more insane. And of course, it's sort of the rise of the company and also the eventual downfall when they kind of wanted to try to start making bigger budgeted films, like with Masters of the Universe, Superman 4, and also, surprisingly, the Sylvester Stallone film, Over the Top. And then that's where it sort of went down from there. And what really buzzed me out is that I found that in the film, like I always knew that Superman 4 was made on the cheap. Like they cut the budget many times and pretty much it ended up looking like very low quality compared to the other Superman films. But what buzzed me out the most is that Over the Top cost more to make than Superman 4, and that blew my mind. And even just that, wow. And but yeah, and there's some interesting stories. It's just great. It's fantastic. Definitely go check this out once it hits cinemas. I mean, if you love Not Quite Hollywood and Machete Maidens Unleashed, you are going to love this film. I guarantee you will. So overall, if I had to rate this film, this one gets the full mark. I'm giving it 5 stars. I absolutely loved Electric Boogaloo. Uh, so well, I hope you all enjoyed this second edition of my MIFF video reviews. Keep a lookout for my third edition, which I will be talking about the indie horror film It Follows and the animated film Anina. So keep a lookout for that one, and I'll see you all later. See you, everyone. Bye.